Episode 124 here on the Real Kyper at Noon show. We are back at it. Lots happened in the last 48 hours since we last spoke on Monday. We had a cameo appearance from our beloved Doug Maclean before Jill pulled the plug on his internet. She just held it up like this, said, "That's enough. Had it with you, Kypreos, and all this talk. I'm on vacation. I've got an RV. Let's get it going." Let's go to Doug Maclean right now. And before we start off with our question of where the hell are you, can you confirm or deny that's what happened to your internet on Monday?
We were at a truck stop, and Jill, we used it to pick up a coffee, and she was fed up. She's fed up with you, the podcast, with hockey in general.
She's just got to hold on a little longer, okay?
She said, what kind of power you playoffs? She thought when the Leafs lost, the playoffs were over, which essentially they are for a lot of fans.
Everybody in Southern Ontario feel that way, Mac. And you know, we're going to get into last night's contest between Tampa and the Mountain that the Hurricanes have now going 2-0. We're going to get into the Vezina finalists that were announced the other day by the National Hockey League, including Marc-Andre Fleury, Vasilevsky, of course, of Tampa Bay, and Grubauer. That's a nice addition, and that's a name that we haven't heard very often. A big thrill for him as well. So a lot to get into. Of course, teeing up the next round in the North Division, Montreal and Winnipeg. But Mac, we got to put a bow to this. And in the past, we have had various segments and thumbnails on how to fix some teams. And right now, we got to start with the Toronto Maple Leafs. First of all, we got to get your thoughts. It's been a couple of days now, so we still haven't heard from your end on what went wrong with the Leafs and possibly how you fix it or you move forward from that. But overall, the thought of the Leafs disappointing once again, Toronto Maple Leaf fans.
Yeah, look, it's a process here that we talked prior to the series that being the underdog is sometimes a really good situation. And you know what? The Montreal Canadiens took full advantage of that. First of all, they put the game in the trenches. That's the first thing they did. They put it in the dirty areas and challenged the Leafs to play that way. They also really did a great job of shutting down the neutral zone, which is typical of underdog hockey, is you clog up things. You know, their defense, their big four on the back end, played tough hockey, mean hockey. They challenged the skill. And the Leafs, for me, their blue line, deep enough. So anyway, there was a lot of reasons. And the number one reason, and whether we talk till the cows come home, difference maker. And that's why he makes $10 million a year. We questioned him a lot this year because of injuries and the way he was playing. And he came through as the leader, the backbone of the franchise, and he was a difference maker.
Fans are going through what do we call those 5 emotional stages? Whether or not there's going to be anger, there's going to be denial, depression, and your favorite, I think, bargaining. So, Mac, we're going to hear from Brendan Shanahan and Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe later on this afternoon. There's a scheduled 4:00 Eastern press conference. First of all, with so many people calling for the heads of all 3 of them at certain times, you don't parade all 3 2 days later and expect any major changes. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I don't see any major changes, and I think we're going to hear a lot of the same we heard this time last year. A process, young, we've got to overcome this. But I thought Keith summed it up best, and I don't care what the others say today, to be quite honest. What I got from Keith is all I need to hear. And that was sickening. I'm disappointed. there's no excuse for this. I don't care what they say. There's no excuse for the way this team started in the last 3 games. It was pathetic, embarrassing, and they start 3 games.
So
what do you? All I want to hear is there's no excuses. You got to improve this team.
what is it? You look at this series. Did Montreal win it? I had said the Leafs in 5 games, and of course, all the Hab fans are all over me, and that's okay, no problem at all. But the one thing that I did stress throughout all my interviews is that for the Leafs to lose this series, they're going to have to hand it to Montreal on a platter. And I'm not taking away where they went with the series, particularly the last 3 games and how they were able to take them and drag them into the alley in terms of hard hockey and leaning, never giving up lanes, how many block shots we saw. They did all the right things, Mac.
Yeah.
But I still watch this series, and Carey Price didn't steal the series for me. He was good, and he made saves that he had to. He was supposed to. And then on occasion, a brilliant save. But Carey Price didn't steal this series. I saw it more like the Leafs gave it away.
Well, but the Canadians have to get, for me, a lot of credit for making it very challenging for the Leaf stars to get anything done. Nylander, yeah. But the guys they focused on going into this series were 2 players. The Montreal Canadiens, I'll never forget when we played Lemieux and Yager in the playoffs. And I keep going back, and I hate to do that. We said in the dressing room every time it come up, let's make Lemieux and Yager hate hockey. Well, I'll tell you what the Montreal Canadiens did. They made Marner and Matthews hate playing. I'll tell you what, they snuffed them out. Matthews gets 35 shots. Is that accurate? 35 shots in the series. But they get 1 goal between the 2 of them. And they played, as you said, before Game 7, Nick, and you talked about this, and I've seen people say it since, Marner played way too much. Maybe Nylander not enough. But, I mean, the same thing I saw going on in the last game against the Columbus Blue Jackets last year when Keith loaded up the big line, Tavares, Matthews, Marner, and played them till they were done, till they got beat. Similar thing this year. So the Habs made the Leafs players not enjoy this series. They're big boys. Marner, Matthews, Riley. I don't think any of them did. And the old boys, sorry, Spets is getting lots of credit for being their best player. Like, how sad is that? But Simmons, Thornton, the big pickups that everybody raved about all year long.
Okay, let's get into that a little bit, because when you hear how devastated and disappointed Sheldon Keefe is, and when you consider that with the ice time, Mac, and you're right, everybody's talking about the ice time now, and we got into it days ago.
Yeah, before Game 7, you talked about it.
Is it really now Sheldon Keefe, by playing Marner 25 minutes a night, was that his way of telling Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan, this roster isn't as deep as you think it is? And if it was, I wouldn't have to play these guys in Game 1, 27 and a half minutes. And what you think we have for depth isn't really there. And it's true. It ended up being true in Game 7 that the depth, including Nick Foligno, was never there. They were never the players that you thought, and that's why I had to play these guys 27 minutes.
And look, in fairness to the Leafs, losing Tavares was so important for the Montreal Canadiens, because That was one less guy to deal with, less power guy. And I mean, we talk. Galchenyuk comes in as an important guy. Are you kidding me? Foligno comes in as an important guy, who, by the way, is banged up and can't play anywhere near what he's capable of playing. But, you have to move him to center. Foligno is a winger. I mean, I know he's played center in Columbus, but out of desperation because they have no centerman. So to me, yeah, you're right. The depth became a factor. And Thornton and Simmons, I mean, I didn't notice them. Did they play?
I had heard back issues.
About what I didn't like those pickups last summer. I said it on this show. I wasn't impressed with those pickups, and I was forced to eat my words a little bit this year. But they weren't very good.
I heard back issues for Nick Foligno, which I don't know whether or not this was new as he came in, or was it something that he brought in from Columbus. But one of the questions for Kyle Dubas, and Leaf fans are screaming at it, is why Foligno for a first rounder? Why not Hall at a cheaper rate, or Sam Bennett, who cost 2 second rounders?
Hey, I hate to say it, but you talked about it, about Bennett, and people went nuts. They laughed at us talking about Bennett. Yeah, they're obviously a little higher price, but still not as much as Foligno. And Foligno, I liked the pickup, and I said I liked the pickup, but I said it at the time is, what about the depth on this blue line? I was worried about the depth of the Leafs blue line going into the playoffs. And you remember me talking about that. I didn't think picking up Hutton was a waste of time for me. That's not what I meant. I meant picking up a real player to play the blue line in case of an injury.
Which happened.
It hurt them big time. Enough depth on the back end hurt them big time. And I'm talking a Savard type of guy. And, Savard didn't play, obviously, last night. I guess he's banged up. But still, if the Leafs had a little more depth on the back end, it might have made a bit of a difference. But, look, if your big guys can't fight through this and find a way to score, but you're right, the depth, if all you have to do is shut down Marner and Matthews team, we saw it in Winnipeg. All they had to do was shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. That's all they had to do, and they did it. Well, it's a lot tougher for the offensive guys to fight through than it is to defend.
It's a lot easier to tear down a home than it is to build it up.
You want to believe it.
And that's what you were able to do in 96. And that's what Montreal did against the Leafs in 2021. The other one that stood out for me is Corey Perry did not want to be a Montreal Canadian. He made that abundantly clear. He wanted to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, and he begged them to sign him. And they said, nope, we're going to take Wayne Simmons. At $1.5 million for Wayne Simmons versus a minimal salary of $750,000 for Corey Perry.
You talked about this 5 months ago. Okay, so here's what I said about Corey Perry, and it's funny, some scouts had said it, and I said it on the show. Corey Perry is too slow to play in the regular season. He is too slow to play in the regular season. Did he look slow to you in the playoffs? He's too slow in the regular season, but when the game changes at playoff time, Corey Perry fits in like a glove.
How fast do you have to be to get in the face of Jack Campbell?
That's my point. The game changes at playoff time. And Corey Perry is suited. We saw it in Dallas. We've seen it throughout his career.
This is
skating. I remember when he was drafted. We were hoping he was going to we were going to get him with our first pick in the second round, and I think he went 25th or something. And I remember sitting at the draft table saying, "Are you shitting me? This guy just went. That's who you were talking. We might get in this early with our first or second pick in the second round." And people said, "Well, his skating's poor." I said, "Oh, okay."
Mac,
skating's poor.
Skating's poor. All this guy has done,
he's a Hall of Famer,
is win everywhere he's been. He knows how to win. Okay? Memorial Cups, Stanley Cups, gold medals. What did he do for the Dallas Stars? How in their right mind did they pick Wayne Simmons over Corey Perry?
Because idea of being tough to play against, which was their big thing. And I read Dubas said the other day, we still have to work on being tougher to play against. You have to learn how to play through toughness. Being tough to play against is important, but learning how to play through toughness is important.
And not to, like, again, we're talking about one of the best modern day players in history, and Joe Thornton, sure, Hall of Famer, great career, but you have to put players in positions to succeed. And they had him on the first line to start the season, and they had him on the fourth line to end the season. And it didn't work, Mac. It didn't work. And that's coming off a 3-year experiment with Patrick Marleau. When will they learn their lesson here?
Look, I had to suck it up a little bit because I was hard on the Thornton Simmons signing. I really was. I was wrong on Brody. I wasn't overly. I said Brody's a good sign, but I didn't like the salary. Brody proved me wrong. He was adequate. He was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, he did his job. He was pretty good.
He played with Morgan Riley all year too. He played with Morgan Riley 90% of the time. Okay, so I'm going to give him that. But unfortunately, you can't blame Keith for this. He gave Simmons and Thornton, in my opinion, more than ample opportunity. I mean, I watched some start games. I watched them on the first line. I watched them on the power play. Like, I watched them get good opportunities. At the end of the day, if you're going to be a leader in the room, you have to be a player on the ice. And it's hard to be a leader in the room if you're not contributing on the ice. And to me, they didn't contribute.
Well,
but they had a lot of company.
One of those leaders, I think they're going to have some issues in the offseason, and that's Morgan Riley. He is not happy right now.
Should be really pissed off. And you brought it up 2 or 3 shows ago.
He watched
Morgan Riley off the goddamn power play and putting Sanheim on there. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, Sandin. Yep. 21-year-old Mac. 21-year-old to help them go to a Stanley Cup final. Who's never done it before. And he will be a great player one day. He's got all, well, we don't know, but we assume he's got everything you're needed to be a top 4 defenseman and maybe quarterback a power play one day. But in a rookie season,
you're going to play with your best defenseman's head this time of year? Are you crazy? Wrong on that? Got it up, Nick, 2 shows ago.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Well,
so the power play was brutal all year. How can that power play be that bad all year with that talent?
And again,
I don't get it.
That, Mac, to me, and yes, point the finger all you want at Matthews and Marner, and it's warranted because they're the ones that have to get the results. But it's on a coaching staff, Mac.
Both.
You have to. You had 6 weeks to fix it, and you did nothing to fix it. No different looks.
Yeah.
Didn't address it at the trade deadline. And where's the accountability on a power play? As a coach, Mac, you've been there. Your power play's not going. What other?
If you're going to pound,
how is that not a top priority?
You're going to pound your chest at game 15 when you're at 25% and being a coaching staff power play geniuses. Then you got to be there to stand in, and when it's like 0% for the last half of the year. I mean, it's hard to believe how that power play deteriorated the way it did all year, and trying different things, different personnel. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's a tough thing to coach. It's one of the challenging things to coach. There's no denying that. But Montreal started to pick up the odd power. Well, the 5-on-3, I guess, but I mean, still, the power play really hurt the Toronto Maple Leafs this year. And with that talent, it's hard to believe. We talked about the presence on the point. Riley's not the dream guy there, but you sure as hell don't go with a kid in his place at this time of year. You don't take that gamble. I don't know if Morgan Riley's pissed off, but I guarantee you he is really pissed off at what happened. Am I wrong? And are you wrong?
I'll be very surprised if he starts next season a Toronto Maple Leaf.
He's that upset.
He's got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
But when you watched a 21-year-old inexperienced take your job on a power play, and then you've watched Frederik Andersen go in the last year of his deal, and the way his season ended, I think Morgan Riley would probably want to get ahead of that and get out of Dodge now.
It's really interesting.
So we'll keep an eye on that storyline.
And I mean, look, they can't afford to lose him on that blue line. They can't afford to. I mean, I've always said I thought Morgan Riley was a perfect number 2 guy.
Emotionally, they've already
But he's
lost
their
him.
number 1 guy.
Emotionally, I think they've already lost him. And that's a big deal. Okay, you've been a president and general manager. If you're Kyle Dubas right now or Brendan Shanahan, how do you strategize this press conference? How do you talk yourself out of this mess in a press conference?
You know, you've got to go in there and you've got to be very frank in your situation. And to me, you've got to follow Keefe's lead a little bit in that, I'm sorry, we can stand here and say it's a process. We can say it's not linear. We can say all those things. And we can say, well, look how long it took Ovechkin. And look how long it took Sid. And look how long it took this guy and that guy. But at the end of the day, they've got to stand in there and not make excuses. They got to take some serious heat.
The Ovechkin and the Yzerman, that was a different world. Those guys had 12, 13-year contracts. I got news for them. 3 years left for Matthews. 4 years left for Marner, and then they walk out the door.
I know.
They don't have that luxury.
No, they have got to step today and say, no bullshit. We failed. Fix this. We've got to make some serious moves to fix this team. And that's not easy with where they are with their big 4.
All right.
It's tied up there, which we always go back to. And you know what? They're Jack Campbell now, who's the number 1 guy. Well, I like Jack Campbell. He's had a good run that's been exciting, but I'd be nervous if Jack, this guy still hasn't shown. He showed it during stretches this year when the team was flying high and he was good. And he didn't kill them. He didn't cost them the playoffs.
No, he did not.
But he's got to stop standing up there and taking all the blame too. I thought he got over that a month ago. He
did it again, Mac. Worst goal.
Why?
Worst goal of his career, he called it on the Gallagher. Worse. I think he's been around a long time. I think if he really thinks about it, he can find one worse.
Yeah, I think so.
But again, the sense is how hard he is his worst critic.
Yeah, and he's hard on himself, and it's on. I thought the guy. I said versus Campbell in a best of 7. This could be scary. You know what? The guy held his ground. The guy battled.
Okay.
He wasn't the reason. He was not the reason.
Listen. We've got non-Leaf fans going, enough. I'm sick to my stomach.
I agree. They got some serious. That's what they should say.
Whatever the case is, they're not as sick of the Leafs being out as our good friends at Sportsnet, Mac. There was like 4 and 5 million people a night in game 6 and 7. And people got to understand that if it's leaning towards a Maple Leaf telecast nationally in Canada, It's all because of the numbers and the attention that it gives them and the advertising dollars. They lost a lot, unfortunately, for losing the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's just a fact. Say what you will, but money talks.
I guess it's something I haven't really spent a lot of thinking about since I departed Sportsnet 2 years ago.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to do everybody a favor and stop talking about the Leafs, and let's talk about, Mac, that nobody expected Winnipeg and Montreal, but it's not even close on who we thought were the two best goalies in the North Division going into this season. Yeah. And it was Carey Price and Hellebuck. So should we be that surprised that they're going head to head in round 2?
No, and that's going to be the intriguing matchup. You've got the Hellebuck, who is the new top guy in the league. He's worked to become that. You've got Price, the veteran. This will be a very exciting matchup in goal. But to me, it's going to be a little more challenging than that for Montreal, because it's not like stopping Marner and Matthews. You've got a couple of lines they've got to do to a couple of lines what they did to Marner and Matthews, and then you've got the Lowry line to deal with. So to me, this is a tougher matchup for Montreal.
Oh, and this is where Montreal will see a third wave. Yep. The Leafs only showed one wave, and when you shut down the Matthews and the Marners, you had great success. But now Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, Luc Dubois, Stastny, Ehlers. But Mac, Appleton, Lowry, Kopp, these guys can play hard, and they can put the puck in the net. This is a triple threat here for Winnipeg.
No, and we talked about this. Now, what's going to be really interesting to watch is what does Dubois become in this round when it starts to be Montreal fence playing hard. Weber, Petrie, company there, Rott, Edmonston playing hard against the Jets. Where does Dubois? He hasn't been as good yet as I thought he would be. I mean, it's been a slow start. I'll be interested to see how that Montreal Big Four defend these guys. That, to me, is going to be a challenging matchup for the Montreal Canadiens.
We know, Mac, hasn't been a great feel-good story for Pierre-Luc Dubois being traded to Winnipeg. He's been bounced back and forth from the wing to the center position. Yep. There were health issues at the end. They had a horrific run to end the season, Mac. 3-12, something ridiculous. There was talk about wanting Paul Maurice's head on a platter. There was talk about Scheifele being benched. It was really ugly there for a while. Yet they found a way to show up against the Edmonton Oilers, and now there's a great feel there. And more importantly for Ehlers and Pierre-Luc Dubois is that they got 9 days off, Mac. 9 days off. That's like an off season going between rounds in the playoffs here. Pierre-Luc Dubois has got to come into this series feeling like it's been an off season and he's ready to start fresh here. They've got to get him back in the middle playing great again, Mac.
You know how hard it is to shut down two lines at playoff time. And I think back to when we played Colorado in the finals, and it was Sakic's line and then Forsberg's line. And they'd come at you and come at you. When you've got that top six that is dangerous, it's really hard to defend it. If you've got one group to stop, if it's like the Lindros line, the Legion of Doom, or Lemieux-Yager combo, or a one-line team, you can shut it down. But when you got a double threat, that's going to be a little more challenging for the Montreal Canadiens.
And as far as Montreal, I mean, you got to play the same style. Nothing can change here. But all of a sudden, Kotkaniemi, who couldn't start in game one, becomes an important player. Cole Caulfield becomes an important player?
Suzuki.
Is it still too early now for these guys to carry that weight against an experienced team like Stastny's and Scheifele's?
Well, we talked about it when Montreal were down 3-1, and we said, they're still too young down the middle. And they were too young down the middle, but guess what? We saw some growing up before our own eyes. They've got to continue to grow. Full marks to them. Danault didn't have a point in the series, Nick, and he may have been their most valuable forward.
That doesn't happen very often.
Does that ever happen, that Danault, without a point, is their most important player in the series? And I'm thinking, whoa, he went head-to-head with Matthews. So how does this all translate now when you're going head-to-head against the Scheifele's and the Dubois and the Stastny's and the experience? Here's the only thing, and I've talked about this a lot this year. How about the Winnipeg blue line? Pionk was a superstar in the first round.
And Morrissey.
They play, and Morrissey, they played well. Can Montreal work Peg blue line? That's the question. And with Hellebuck there, you might work their blue line. You may get opportunities, but if Hellebuck's been as good as he was against Edmonton, it's going to be tough. Montreal are going in with a ton of confidence. They're feeling so good. That would make me a little nervous if I'm Winnipeg, because Montreal are very excited to play and feel really good about themselves. Dominic Ducharme will get a new contract because of that series. His coaching staff will get a new contract, probably. I mean, a lot of really positive vibes going into this series.
Well, even a guy like Logan Stanley has shown some worth in the first round, so they've gotten some depth there a little bit, and they will be challenged still, though, physically. Mm-hmm. They will be challenged.
Yeah, and I criticized Chevy, who I happen to really like as a person and a GM. I question why he didn't get a defenseman. I mean, he picked up Ben from Vancouver as a depth guy, but that was it. And you know what? His defense did not disappoint against Edmonton, and the defense always looks a little better with a Hellebuck there, the way he's playing.
Well, that gets going tonight, and what's the term? Sweep versus deep. So what do you like, Mac? You anticipate a rusty Winnipeg or a tired Montreal Canadian team?
No, I think you're rejuvenated really fast this time of year. I don't think fatigue will be a factor. I really don't. I don't think rust will be a factor. If it is, it's over quickly. There's so much emotion involved at this time of year that you overcome the bruises and you get the adrenaline going, and it's amazing what guys do. So I don't see that. I see Winnipeg winning the series, but I also saw Toronto winning the series. So don't bet based on my prediction.
We'll take Winnipeg in 6 or 7.
I'll take Winnipeg in 6.
All right, I'm there with you. I'm with you. So
we always protect ourselves because we did say Montreal will be tough. This will be a tough series. Don't underestimate the Montreal-Toronto rivalry and the hatred. And,
So you don't anticipate seeing the rust on Winnipeg tonight like you saw the rust on Colorado in Game 1 against Vegas?
No, I see that the rust will get off real quickly, because when you have talent, the rust seems to be very minimal.
When we looked at that Game 1, either Pete DeBoer was dumb not starting Fleury, or he was a genius for not starting Fleury. And there's some that have suggested to me from the Vegas camp that they were going to lose anyways. So why not lose with your best goaltender rested to get ready for Game 2? Do you buy that?
I have never heard of an organization that said we are going to lose game one? Who says that? Where has that ever been said? Because how many of teams that win game one of a series, I don't know what the percentage is, but I know if you win two, the percentage is damn high. You know, Toronto didn't win the second game. Losing the first game is not a great mentality to go in with at playoff time. You don't have throwaway games at playoff time. You have throwaway games in the regular season. You don't have throwaway games at playoff time. Seriously.
Mac, what we saw out of Colorado was a clinic, an absolute clinic. Even if Fleury's to come back and start showing a 930, 940 percentage, I don't know if it's still going to be enough with the firepower we saw in game one.
The firepower we know about. We know about Rantanen. We know about McKinnon. We know about Landeskog. We know that firepower. What blew me away watching that game was Makar. Makar. I'm sorry. This guy, I haven't watched him enough. I know all about. I haven't watched him up. I watched him in that game. And I watched the rest of the blue line, Gerard, and even Timmins and Graves and Taves. I mean, this blue line is well constructed a blue line as you can do because they're big, they can skate, they can move the puck. They have every element you want on a back end.
Mac, Cale Makar is every bit as good as Erik Karlsson in his Ottawa prime.
Based on what we've seen, you're damn right. Him finding some of those plays, cross seams that he finds, the way he skates, the way he shoots, the release, the passing.
The lateral movement, Mac.
Special talent. So, you know what? This is going to be, this will be a real intriguing series. Vegas will play hard. Vegas is going to play them hard. They'll play them hard. And Fleury is character personified for me.
Yeah.
He's a special human being. He's a special leader. The team will play hard for him. It'll be a war.
I want to give Pacioretty a ton of credit because he's found a nice spot there where he doesn't have to be a captain. He's not the best player on the team. He just goes out there and creates and scores goals. And they missed him, no question, and they got through it in Minnesota without him. But he's going to have to put the puck in the net again in this series.
And he was a difference maker. He stepped up. I dare say he wasn't 100%, but he stepped up and played, And,
All right, switch gears. Carolina and Tampa Bay, Mac. Tampa didn't look great, but when you've got Vasilevsky making 31 saves and you've got, now what's the term used? Jeeps or pickup trucks that aren't Ferraris, as Cooper was talking about the other day. You're a tough team to beat.
What you just said, I hate to go back to the Leafs. Al Dubas should listen to that quote and put it on his wall and maybe paste it on his forehead.
Anthony Cirelli, Killorn with his 5th of the playoffs. Come on, Mac. Those are players. That's depth. That's how you win Stanley Cups.
Coleman and the other kid that just won't stop. The kid they picked up from San Jose, I keep forgetting his name. Oh my God, he's a friggin' player. Anyway,
Vincent Trocheck goes down.
Yeah, that's a tough injury.
A collision with Fogle. Mac, this
looks
is a
like
huge
he's out.
Loss.
And looks like he's out. It to me looks like it's a series ender for him. Would you say?
Oh well, that's what Brendan Moore said.
But
highly
just to
unlikely
go back
we'll see him back.
Let's go back for a minute too to Vasilevsky. I'm telling you what, Nick. I keep thinking back to that 5 overtime or whatever it was, Columbus and Vasilevsky, and the focus this kid had. Korpisalo, the same thing. But I mean, he stepped up to the forefront to become one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. Again, last night he's standing strong. He's tough to beat. I didn't think he was particularly great against Florida, but he sure as hell was good last night. And he's a Stanley Cup winner. He's 26 years of age. He's right at the top of the charts.
Vezina finalist as well, we can call him, in 2021. And he, along with Marc-Andre Fleury and Grubauer.
Yeah.
And while, Mac, we see, and I think somebody was mentioning that Carey Price is the only $10 million player left in the league that is still has a chance to win a Stanley Cup. But we've got Vasilevsky at $9.5 million, Price at $10.5 million, and then you've got a Grubauer, who is one of the 3 finalists this season for the Vezina, and he's making $3.3 million. And as great as Price is back, and as great as Vasilevsky's back, can any team ever go up around $9 or $10 million again, or is the Grubauer Colorado situation the new future of goaltending?
Well, I know I hate to go back to Toronto or a couple of these teams, but it's got to go to there if you're going to keep the format the way it is. And when they're lucky they got McKinnon where he is, they're really lucky they got him where he is. And Makar, where does he go to? They've got no choice but to stay with, I call it the Chris Osgood model in Detroit.
Yeah.
Where, Kenny was able to keep his goaltending at one of his lowest price points on his roster of important players.
Well, mind you, it should be noted, though, Grubauer is a finalist. He's also an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. And if, in fact, Mac, he wins a Stanley Cup for Colorado, that 3.3 could easily double, could it not?
Well, if he wins the Stanley Cup, and I questioned Grubauer because I know he was hurt last year, and I hated their goaltending against Dallas. Grubauer has been very good with a very good team in front of him. This is a big playoff test for Grubauer, I think. I think this is, and if he comes through it like he probably is capable of with this team, with the I mean, this is a team that lost their number 2 centerman in Kadri, and they still, steps up, and these guys step up for them. I mean, the kid from Newfoundland steps up for them. The kid, and I mean, look, he's going to be pretty sought after if he holds it together.
Yeah, he should be able to get into that Markstrom with a Stanley Cup and at 5.5, 6. Jordan Binnington got there with his Stanley Cup ring.
And I mean, I know Kenny Holland says he wants to re-sign Smith, but if Grubauer is available, maybe in Edmonton finally says, "Hey, we've got to make a step here with our goaltending."
All right, where do I want to go here next? How about
home? You want to go? You have an appointment. That's
no. I do, but I want to get one more off. There's some meat on the bone here still, Mac.
Okay.
And in the world of, I hate doing this. You're way better at it with the "I told you so's," but but I got one for you. For you. Seth Jones doesn't want to sign in Colorado. Like
Columbus.
Or I'm sorry, Columbus. I'm all over Colorado now with Grubauer. He doesn't want to sign in Columbus.
Oh.
What a shock. What are your sources saying on that one? Because that one is right between the eyes. Right between the eyes.
I think didn't we talk about it a year ago or 8 months ago?
And Werenski's the other one, Mac.
And I keep hearing he wants to go to Detroit. So my sources are very quiet.
Wow.
It rocks you. And now you've got your number one defenseman saying that. You've got the Dubois thing in your background. You've got Laine coming. Laine's got to get re-signed. It just doesn't stop. And I was in Columbus for 4 days last week, and I'm just thinking, I was having a few beers with a buddy of mine that's fairly close to the team, and he said, I said, you got to get this guy in a room and get him signed. And then the next day it comes out. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Oh, my God.
Welcome back, John Davidson. Now, Mac, how quickly does this need to be addressed? There's not a snowball's chance, as you like to say, that you can bring Seth Jones back to start the season. You got to get him traded at the draft, during the draft, after the draft, anytime all summer.
JD rode back into town, saying that, he's excited to be back in Columbus. He loves Columbus. He's very excited to be back. And then this hits him. This dulls the excitement a little bit for JD. But JD will he and Kekalainen, this is a big, big challenge because the franchise is just wavering a bit. I got a note this morning at 7 a.m. Tell me what's going on, how another guy wants out of Columbus. Please tell me what's going on. And I'm sitting there saying, Columbus is a great city. It's good ownership. It's devastating for me for this to happen. It really is.
Leafs they're heavy at forward. You assume that on the next contract, the Seth Jones would be looking at $9 or $10 million. Would you even consider a Marner for Seth Jones? Now I think they're 4 years difference in age, and that's a big deal to me.
Yeah,
really
that's a big deal.
To give up a 23-year-old for a 27-year-old is a big deal for me. But is that the type of thing that could help Columbus and maybe even help Toronto?
The problem with that deal for me, Nick, is Columbus desperately need a center iceman.
Marner can play center, Mac.
And that if they're comfortable that he can come in and play center, then yes, you gotta consider it, because they are in such dire need, and this guy can make plays like nobody else, and Laine needs somebody to get him the puck. So
what was the line in London?
Yeah,
Matthew Tkachuk, Marner, and I'm drawing a blank in Arizona. The winger. He played center, Mac. He's played center. He can play center. He's just one of those guys.
Dvorak.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Dvorak. He can play center. It's been natural for him for a long time, since minor hockey.
You've got to deal with the Riley fallout. Got to deal with Seth Jones. But does Seth Jones want to play in Toronto? Does Seth Jones, is there room for him in Colorado? Probably not. Yeah. Is there room for him in Dallas? Maybe not. The way team, they're structured.
You know the team that kind of was whispered in my ear for Seth Jones?
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago Blackhawks.
That would not surprise me. And what about the Detroit Red Wings taking a run at him?
Well,
but Chicago makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, a lot of things to talk about in the next few days, few weeks, few months, Mac.
Yeah, for sure.
What's on tap the rest of the day?
I'm going to tee it up this afternoon here in Danbury, Connecticut at Ridgeway Country Club. A friend of mine's a member there, so and then we're going to have a little Italian restaurant tonight where their friends hang out. So it's kind of a relaxing night. Then we head to Kennebunkport Maine tomorrow, and we're going to spend a couple nights in Kennebunkport and then on to Bar Harbor. So we're into the final week. We're over 2 weeks on the road, and we're heading into the third week.
Doug, when are you doing your photo shoot for Cigar Aficionado? I have it on screen for the folks now.
I'm not sure. I'm going to pull out. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with a Cohiba or a Monte Cristo tonight, but with a little Cabernet mixed in. You know what? We had a little barbecue last night, nice dinner, and relaxed. But I wanted to go light last night on the cab because I knew I had this big show to do today. So I sucked it up.
Thank you for
sucked it up.
We appreciate it. Okay, for our viewers, give us a final tonight between Vegas and the Avs. 1-1, or are they in the hole like Carolina?
I've got it 2-0 tonight.
Fleury with the shutout?
You better.
Wow. That one would be shocking.
No, I've got it 2-0. The series going to 2-0.
Oh, okay. I wanted a score, though.
Oh, you want to score? It's probably going to be probably a 4-2 score.
4-2 Colorado.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope not. I hope Fleury can pull it out, but that's fine.
All right. Well,
I picked Colorado and Tampa as a Stanley Cup matchup. But I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. But anyway.
All right. And between cabs and cigars, how is your golf game? I hear it's quiet. You don't tell us any scores anymore. Is it because you're playing half in the bag?
I have to tell you, we played a course in Pennsylvania today, and I've got to tell you this: I miss the Florida courses. There's a little more woods, and just a little worse rough. I miss the Florida courses a touch. My game, it's okay.
And you hate paying for new balls too, right?
I picked up a couple of dozen cheapos at the PGA National Store in Delray Beach before I left. So I got lots of balls.
All right. Well, hit them straight for us here, okay? We really appreciate your effort once again on the Real Kyper at Noon show from the RV. Stanley Cup coverage exclusively by Doug Maclean through his RV. Thanks, Mac. Enjoy your day.
Okay, man.
Doug Maclean, everybody, from God knows where. I have no idea. But we're happy we've got him. And for all of you, we're happy we have you. And we're happy that you're along on the ride for us during the 2021 Stanley Cup run. And there's plenty of more coming up. Stick around for it. We'll see you Friday. First time watcher, subscribe. Leave those comments coming, and we'll see you Friday. Have a great day, everybody.